Hello lovelies and welcome back to my channel. My name's Amity Gilmore and I own The Joyful Juby. I'm going to be talking about 5 businesses that I started as a child. Some of them I did just one-off and all that kind of stuff to make money. Some of them failed, some of them did pretty well. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So a little bit of a backstory on why I was very business minded. I grew up in a low-income household with a single mother. My mother wasn't able to work because she was raising us kids. We didn't have much money. And while a lot of my friends at school were, getting for Christmas Xboxes, all the expensive things that you can imagine, I unfortunately wasn't able to get those things for Christmas, which I, looking back, realized I didn't actually care that much because the stuff that I did get for Christmas was equally just as awesome. I remember one of my Christmas presents was this ice crush machine that my mom got from Target for literally $5. And I was like, this is the best birthday present I've ever gotten. So as you can see, I was actually very grateful for what I did have and what I did get because I full on understood the situation I was in and knew that I wasn't able to ask for an Xbox or anything like that. Not that I really was into gaming, but I knew I couldn't ask for that. So I didn't. Instead, I asked for things that I knew my mom could buy. And that's totally fine. I don't think it was something that, looking back, I was disadvantaged in. I still got Christmas presents. I still loved my Christmas presents. I actually thought they were the best Christmas presents in the world. When you're a kid, you really don't care. So on times when I did want to splurge out and spend a little bit more, I knew that I had to actually save up that money myself, make the money myself, and buy it. For instance, my first iPod, remember iPods? They were like big in the day. If you don't know what an iPod was, it was basically an iPhone, but except it wasn't a phone. You could get them back, I think I paid $157 for my iPod. And so in order to get something like that, I needed to work really hard to save up money to buy stuff like that. I was into music, so a lot of my musical instruments and a lot of my lessons were paid for by myself. I was starting little businesses, mini businesses, to save up for that stuff. So I realized I've just rumbled on about my childhood. Now it's time to get into the real nitty-gritty stuff, and I'm gonna tell you these businesses that I started. Some of them worked, some of them failed, but whatever. And we're starting at number 1. These are in no particular order, by the way. Produce selling. We had this beautiful orange tree. We also had a banana tree and we had a garden and we were growing a lot of food, and sometimes we had too much food that we just couldn't get through it all before it went off. So what I would do is I would grab this food and I would go door knocking. Yes, I know that sounds a bit unsafe, but in the community that we lived in, I knew the houses where I could door knock that it was safe, and I knew the houses that I couldn't. When you grow up in a small country town, it's very different. So I would door knock on all the houses I knew, and I'd sell oranges for 50 cents each. Kind of a bit expensive for back then, but it's okay, people did buy them. I would sell these oranges. I would also sell bananas. I would sell other produce that we had left over. This was just a quick cash grab that I could do to boost up my savings account. And it worked. It really did. I will be honest, I think partly the reason it worked was the cute factor. I did have that going on for me. I was like, I don't know, 10. But believe it or not, this whole produce thing leads me on to my next business that I started. And it was a lemonade stand. But it wasn't lemonade. It was Fanta. Let me explain. We didn't have a lemon tree, we had an orange tree, and we could pick up some sparkling mineral water from the shops for literally, I think it was like 20 cents for the home brand back then. And what we could do was we could just juice the oranges and put some of the sparkling mineral water in, which made it fizzy, which then you had basically Fanta. So I had a lemonade slash Fanta shop. Now I will say that this didn't work because where I set up my Fanta shop was at the front of our house, and we're on this busy road. No one's stopping for Fanta. It was on a massive hill, but it was worth a try. Do I think it would have worked if I went downtown with it? Probably, but it didn't work out the front of our house. Just the situation of where we lived and everything, it just wasn't safe to like pull over or walk over and get some lemonade or Fanta or whatever. The third one, speaking of bringing things downtown, this was something that I did start to bring downtown out the front of my friend's shop. They owned a real estate agency, so they were happy for us to set up shop out the front. And it was selling secondhand goods. Basically a garage sale, but like in town, like a market stand garage sale. I did this as a young child. Again, worked because I was young, had the cute factor. No one thought it was a nuisance because small town plus cute factor. And I made a lot of money from this actually. I think from memory back then I was making like close to $50 for an hour, which is a really good hourly rate for back then, but also for now, that's still a good hourly rate. This brings me on to the fourth one that I had, and this was also out the front of my friend's shop. Now, if you don't know, I just want to introduce, I am a recording artist. That never gets old to say. I have a producer. That never gets old to say either. I just love, quick side note, just like being on the phone and then my producer calls and, oh sorry, I gotta go, my producer's calling. Just saying something like that is just like, this is so cool to say. If you want to follow along my music journey, I do have a channel all about that. I'll link it up there and in the description down below. But that being said, I am mentioning all this because it links into the next business, which was busking, which I actually have done right up to my adult years. And I will say busking, if you are decently good at it, can make a lot of money. I guess it also depends on where you're busking. Is it a tourist location? I grew up in a very touristy spot. So busking where I grew up, it had a massive busking community. There were times where I made $200 in 2 hours. That's $100 an hour. There was one time I made $500 in 2 hours. That was insane, but I will say that was on peak holiday season. And also I had an NJ, which if you don't know is a nasal jejunal tube, may have screwed the numbers of it, made people think, oh poor thing, just singing, gave me money. After that I was really embarrassed. I didn't busk again until my tube left my face and was transported to my body. For context, why do I have a tube? I have gastroparesis, secondary to Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I do sell tube pads and stuff on my store for people with that kind of stuff. So if you do have a fitting tube, you can check out my store. The link is in the description below. But that being said, I don't just sell tubey items. That's just one of the things I sell. I also sell bows. Bows is a big thing that I've started doing that I really love. Big extra large bows in the back. I'm not wearing one right now. But anyway, enough of the promoting side of things. Let's get back into the video. The busking really did make a lot of money, and I was able to save up for things very quickly with busking. I will say there was a time before I was able to get any financial support when I quit my job due to illness, where I relied heavily on busking to pay my medical bills, which it worked. I don't know how, but it worked. Okay, now speaking about singing, let's get into how I paid for my singing lessons. So I always wanted singing lessons, but I could never afford it. My mum could never afford it. So when I was of the legal age that I could start working doing the paper run, which by the way, the legal age for doing the paper run is a lot younger than the legal age for working in Australia, or at least it was back then. I'm not sure what it's like now, but back then you couldn't work until you were 14 and 9 months or something like that. So you could start the paper run earlier though. As soon as I was old enough to do the paper run, I started doing the paper run, and all of that money went into singing lessons. I will say though, the paper run was extremely hard work for little money. I think I got like $70 a week for like 10 hours worth of work. But it was the best option I had because legally I wasn't allowed to work any other job. The next job is one I tried once. It didn't really go so well. I tried it with a friend and it was a car wash job. Some people could really benefit from doing this. It really depends on the location, how you do it. This was something we did off on a whim. No one was really interested. We were situated in a weird positioning where no one really came past us unless they were driving really fast because it was a main road. But we did have this massive show, which is like our shows, what we call a show is equivalent to the American county fairs. So we had like a county fair, but we call it show, and people would park right near our house. So we tried like, finding the people that were parking there and like, hey, while you go after the show, would you like us to clean your car? We didn't find anyone. So we got 0 customers that day. Oh well, that was failed. But I realized it could do well if you took things into account and logistically speaking made it work. The next job that I had was pool cleaning, and I cleaned my friend's pool. He paid really well for number one, my age, and also the quality that I was doing it at was like, it wasn't up to scratch, let's just say that and be honest there. He paid really well. That was a job that I had every Monday. I would go over and I'd clean his pool. He and his wife were starting to get a bit more elderly. They had a pool out the back. They didn't want to clean it all the time, so we just did it for them. And they were happy to splurge some cash on us. So another job that I had was editing. I would edit videos for people. I loved editing videos. I love film. And so I got a few jobs where I was able to be paid a one-off to edit people's like promotional videos. I did some editing for the local theatre company and for their like, big shows and stuff. So I did get paid for that. It was something that I really enjoyed. I love editing, and I don't love it as much these days because it's become more of a chore now that I've put so much content out. Part of that was also my editing program was getting a little old and a little clunky, and it was really annoying to work with. But I'm starting to like it again because my editing program is getting a lot more smoother. So yes, that was what I did, editing. And then that brings us to the final business that I had that was a one-off that I did, which was recording vocals for other people. So this was something I did recently. I recorded vocals for someone else's project. I got asked to do it. I was paid to do it. I only ever did it once, but it was something that opened my eyes to, oh, this is another way I can get paid to use my voice and vocal abilities. So that was something that I did. That was today's video. Tell me in the comments down below if there is something that you did as a child that helped you make money, or if there's something I've missed that you think would be a really good job idea for other people watching this video. Do keep in mind, this was back in early 2000s. Some of it was recent, so it really depends on the current, if it's gonna work or not, but that's just something that I did. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and if you liked it even more, don't forget to click that subscribe button. You can also follow my Insta account over at The Joyful Chubby. Love you guys. God bless.